Hi, I'm Erin. I'm the Witch of Saturn, and I'm here with my friend.
Hi, it's Jay from Iridescent Tarot.
So today we thought that we would introduce you to Two of Mom's Tarot.
Yes, our new YouTube adventure.
Let's start by giving a little story about how we met.
Yes.
So maybe about a month ago, I'm a little behind on some of the things in the tarot community. I've been practicing for a really long time, but just catching up on some of, on tarotube. And recently I just discovered all these buy sell trade groups on Facebook, which I was really excited about because I've been searching for some particular decks. So I made a post, an in search of, and one of the decks that I was really looking for was the Moonchild Tarot Shadow Edition. And I was monitoring if the post was getting any hits, any likes in the groups. And then I saw that there was someone else who posted about the same deck. And
I wonder who it was.
I mentally noted the name, and I was kind of like, great, now there's two of us searching for,
There's
like,
some
who is this?
competition.
Yeah, who's this competition rolling in? And then maybe a day or two later, I see that same name pop up in my messenger. I'm like, wait, isn't this the girl that's looking for the same deck? Why is she messaging me? And Jay had sent me this note being like, hey, did you get a lot of response about the deck? If so, if you have any kind of overflow, will you send it my way? And
Right,
then,
because at this point we thought this duck was out of stock and just in pre-order. Well, I knew it was pre-order and I just wanted to get it secondhand. You didn't know that it was pre-order yet.
yeah, so when you told me it was pre-order, I was like running to the website because I was like, I need to have it. And then from there, we just started talking about decks. We realized we have really the same taste in a lot of tarot and oracle decks,
Yes.
and that we have so much in common. And there were a lot of synchronicities and things that just felt really crazy, and we just instantly developed a friendship. And it's been about a month now, and we've talked every day since, and
Yes.
inspired each other to finally start making videos, which we both wanted to do for a really long time.
Yeah, it's been great.
And so, as part of this friendship and back and forth and conversation about tarot decks, oracle decks, and deck collecting, we kind of came up with this method of using our decks and connecting to the vibe of a deck. And we want to share that with you today.
So we're going to call it the hashtag Deck Connectors Club.
Like deck collectors, but deck connectors because you connect to your deck.
Actually, our little jingle is for deck collectors to connect with their decks.
And we're hoping that this method not only helps us to work with our decks in a deeper way and to kind of get to the root of each specific deck's role in our collection. Jay, do you want to say a little bit more about that? Because you really introduced me to that, and I love the concept of like a deck theme so much.
Yeah, I think it's probably born out of just the sheer amount of time I've spent on TerraTube, watching other people's videos and realizing that a lot of us like kind of siloing our decks into different categories. So, peekaboo, Rose. With the Rage deck, I was like, oh my God, that's such a good idea. And I had to have a Rage deck. And just finding that when there's a lot of overlap in your collection, it helps to kind of narrow down the focus into these are decks that serve a specific purpose, and do I need multiple decks serving that purpose? And if not, what decks can I move along to try to curate my collection and keep it on the smaller side?
Yeah, I love that. So hopefully this method does a couple of things. Helps you connect to the decks, helps you start to use the decks in your collection a little bit more, and then that final step of curation and understanding how the deck fits into your rotation and how you're using your tarot and oracle cards.
I
So
also found that for myself, at least, there's so many unboxings and walkthroughs on YouTube. And sometimes I'm just looking to watch somebody like play with and enjoy the deck and not just flip through the cards. And so, a lot of people talk about like if there's content you want to see out there on TarotTube, like you got to make it. And I think this is a great place to start. Like I spent so much time looking for content on Majestic Earth, and I was so happy that Simply Han had put out a series on her deck study with that specific deck. And so this is a way for us to also kind of like get a little bit more into the deeper content with the decks versus flip throughs, which I also enjoy. But
yeah, not just like here's what this deck is, but how we're using this deck, like
yes, exactly.
actually work with it and what
Yes.
we discover along the way. So let's get into the method. So we're
Okay.
hoping that people participate along with us on this. And the idea is that each month we're going to pick 4 decks to work with, 1 deck per week, and then 5 days out of the week, because this is Two of Mom's tarot and we need a couple of days of catch up in between. Nothing's
We've got
happening.
other hashtag mom things to do. So 5 days of reading per week, I think, is probably good.
I think so too. So the first day will be a deck interview. And Jay's going to draw the spread layout that we're going to use for that and walk you through it.
Yeah, so I've tried a bunch of different deck interviews, and the one that I always kept coming back to has this pretty basic shape. It's like the five cards in a star shape. And the first card is up top, and you're going to ask the deck, what is your strength? What's the deck's strength? The second card is what's the deck's weakness? The third card is how would the deck describe you as a reader? The fourth card is how does the deck describe itself? And then the last card in the middle is how are you going to be together?
Love it. So that'll be the first day and kind of initial impressions on the deck and what the deck interview has to say.
Yep.
The second day, we're going to pair the deck with a book called Library of Questions. So this is one of those synchronicities that we ran into in becoming friends, was that we both have and really love this book. It's called The Library of Questions by Lita Pavlova, and it's a really unique spread book. It has just some really great, I don't know, out of the box spread.
Yeah. I mean, we've all had different spread books and things out there, but this is just so it takes on a different flavor and it adds some freshness to your readings, things that you wouldn't see in other books.
So we'll leave it loose, just pairing a reading with one of the spreads in this book. This, I don't believe, I think that this was a really great price. Um, so you could either use a book that you already have. We want this to be inclusive. You don't have to work with the decks that we're working with. You don't have to use the books that we're using. You could just on day 2 pick a spread, any spread that you like, and use the deck with that and see how it reads.
Exactly.
The third day and the fourth day will each be a reading with the deck and a paired oracle to see how they play off of each other and what pairs well with the deck.
Okay.
And then day 5, we're integrating another book. This is one that I found from Jay. It's called 365 Tao, and it's a book of daily meditations.
So I found this book somewhere through TarotTube or Tarot Instagram. Somebody was using it, pairing up the readings with their spreads. And if anybody knows the original source of who has been using this and showing their practice with this, I would love to be able to give them credit. But I have, for the last few weeks, very um, consistently like reading an entry and either reading it and then curating my spread based on the article. Or I read it and I just take it as another data point in my spread and, go with the flow.
And this could be Again, if you don't have this book, you could do any kind of excerpt, a meditation book, a poetry book. You could do listen to a guided meditation while you pull a while you do a tarot reading. There's
Yes, some kind of
many different,
bibliomancy, or I think just meditative quality you had mentioned.
yes. So the decks that we picked to use for September, we picked these for a few reasons. One, the decks that we both really are excited to work with. Two, decks that gave us that September start of fall vibe. So the first week, we're going to be working with the Yellow House Tarot.
Yes. And this is a new acquisition for both of us. It was recently released, and um, we had such a huge connection over this deck.
So what were some of the things that you first liked about it?
So myself, I personally super connect with the Yellow House. It's just meaningful to me in my life. But the deck itself features some of the things that I love the most. It's got a bunch of antiques. It's got macaroons. It's got tea. Just her style of watercolor with all the floral motifs. There's so many things that I love about this deck. And so, with us both receiving it within the last couple of weeks, we were too excited to use it to like pick a different deck.
Yeah, we had to start with this one.
Exactly.
And for me, this deck really kind of hits on a nerve in my life with the mental load of motherhood and running a household while still running a business and finding time for the pursuits of my own interests. And I think that there's something about this deck that is really powerful in that way for me. So I'm excited to kick off this method with the Yellow House Tarot.
And because we know that this deck was just recently released, and there might not be too many people that will be able to use it. Like we said, we really want to focus on this being accessible for people. So just being able to use this method to connect with your deck and participate in the comments and sharing what you're interested in. This is just like a way for us to connect with our deck and foster community. And so, whichever way that you can find to participate, we really would love for you to do that.
Yeah, even if you only have one tarot deck, you could do this every week with it. There's
Yeah,
just,
ways to make it work.
yeah. Then the second week, we're going to work with Oak, Ash, and Thorn.
Yes. For me, I have had this deck for a little while, and I found myself just not reaching for it all that often. And so before we even came up with the idea of Two Moms Tarot and the Deck Connectors Club, I had the intention of wanting to work with this deck this fall, because for me, it's either, crap or get off the pot. Like if this deck doesn't work for me, it's going to go, it's going to leave my collection. So for me, this is a make or break week with this tarot.
Yeah. It's a test. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I haven't worked much with this deck either, but I love the artwork and I think it's a beautiful deck and I think it's just such a fall vibe. So I'm excited.
Yes.
Week three, we move on to the Marguerite Peterson Tarot, which I don't have in hand yet. I did order it from eBay, so I'm hoping it comes by week three.
I think it'll be there by
I think
then. I also got my version of this deck off eBay. That's kind of funny.
that is funny. And
So
the
my deck,
description's a little different than how mine will come because yours is modified.
yeah, so I was really excited to find this particular version because I wanted the um version of this deck that had the whitish gray borders, and also I hated that the border was on the back. And so whoever I bought this from had already cut the deck. They had trimmed the edges off, which I was going to have to do myself, and so it was such a pleasant surprise that they had already done this.
Win-win.
What's the reason that you wanted to use this deck in September?
Well, for me, it's outside of the box for the decks that I typically work with. You introduced me to this, and I think that it's a much more intuitive, art, art kind of inspired deck that ignites intuition a little bit more than the
Yeah,
classic RWS imagery.
Also, neither of us really like red, orange, yellow, that kind of color scheme. And so for me, like this totally belongs in the fall time. So for us getting that transition into fall, I'm like, okay, I can work with orange in the fall.
Yes. Yeah, definitely fall vibes, colors there. In week 4, we're going to transition from September into October with Folkloric Forest. This deck is just, I mean, it screams fall to me
Oh
for
my
sure.
gosh, the most of all of the decks, I would say. Edging is beautiful. Most of the artwork is on the darker side. It's all kind of that like woodsy color tone. Have you worked with this one much yet?
I have been. I was actually just using it before connected here to do our recording because I was having a tough morning and I felt like this deck would give me kind of the message I needed to hear for that.
Did it give you anything good?
It did.
Okay.
The chariot comes up for me a lot with this deck.
I feel like however many times I've used this deck, I've never seen this card. Like there's very few people in this deck, and I've never noticed her here before, like tangled in the brambles.
Yeah, so there's a lot to dig into with this one. And Lennox Reese is a fantastic deck creator. I'm excited for this is a series, right? I'm excited for the Folkloric Waters.
Waters is next, and then Lennox is going to complete the set with all four elements. Plus, I think Spirit was the fifth, or something along those lines. Ether.
Either would make sense. So that's our lineup for September. We would love for you to participate using hashtag Deck Connectors Club. Also, please in the comments, let us know what your favorite decks are with a September or a fall vibe, or anything that you'd like to see us work with in the upcoming months. Also, any other books that you love working with alongside your tarot practice. Like, just please share it with us. We're so interested in other people's process and we could just talk about this all day, so we want to hear from
And
you
we do just in our own chat
all day long. So
all day long. So we want to
join
invite
us.
others.
All right. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to the next installation of Deck Connectors Club. When we meet next week, we'll really dig into the first deck and share with you our experience of working with it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Erin, and thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time. Signing out.